Good evening, all. It is my privilege to introduce today's moderator, Ms. Asha. Ms. Asha is a dedicated robotics teacher at DSP International School in Mumbai, where she teaches students from grades 6 to 10, fostering critical thinking and analytical skills in the classroom. Driven by a passion for education, she recently transitioned from a career in IT to teaching. Over the past year, she has shared her knowledge and passion for data with students, leveraging her practical experience to enhance learning outcomes. Ms. Asha employs innovative teaching methods, incorporating hands-on projects and real-world applications to make learning engaging and relevant. She encourages her students to explore, experiment, and think creatively, ensuring they develop a strong foundation in robotics and technology. Hearty welcome, Ms. Asha. Please proceed. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, everybody. I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished group of teachers, educators on behalf of Extra Mile, which is a unique platform offering both online and offline training. It was founded by Dr. Abdul Salam, who is also the visionary behind BTEC. With a strong network of expert trainers, Extra Mile is fully equipped to deliver on-demand, on-site training throughout India. I want to start by sincerely thanking Dr. Abdul Salam sir and Extra Mile Education Training for this incredible opportunity. Today's students are actually entering a world that's more complex, connected, and fast changing than ever before. Integrating neuroscience insights into classrooms can help create a learning environment that maximizes students' engagement and supports various cognitive needs. Here are some principles and strategies grounded in neuroscience that can make classrooms smarter and learning more effective. Extra Mile, along with the expertise of our resource person, Ms. Amira, is excited to share valuable insights regarding the neuroscience principles through which classrooms can become more spaces where learning feels natural, engaging, and accessible to a diverse range of students, ultimately leading to deeper and more meaningful education. By the end of the session, you will leave with a toolkit of ideas to bring this approach into your classrooms, ensuring that our students are better prepared for the future. It is now my privilege to introduce our distinguished speakers for the evening. I'm honored to present Dr. Abdul Salam. Dr. Abdul Salam is a distinguished figure in the education sector, known for his extensive contributions as a CBSE resource person and master trainer. He has significantly impacted educational standards in India through his role as an assessor for the National Accreditation Board for Education and Training under the Government of India. As a founder and CEO of Extra Mile Education and Training and Bharat Transformers Academic Group, Dr. Salam is at the forefront of initiatives aimed at enhancing learning experiences and educational outcomes. His dedication to education is truly inspiring. Sir, it is truly a privilege to have you with us today. I now invite you to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Respected educators who have joined, thank you for joining. Hearty welcome to Extra Mile Educational Training and greetings on the occasion of Diwali, which everybody is celebrating. Respected Biju sir and Amira ma'am, the resource person of today, who has been giving so many sessions for all the educators, coming up with a good number of interesting topics. So thank you, first of all, to Amira ma'am. And definitely you will take away a lot of things today, because it's very important to know the brain behavior of every child, so that you can plan your activities, lessons in such a way that every child benefits. Just like a mechanic who knows the pulse of the machine. So we should know the pulse of the behavior of the brain. So thank you so much, and Please sit back and enjoy. I have posted a link in the chat box. I'll post once again. It's all about the upcoming mega quiz conducted by Extra Mile to recognize exceptional educators of this year. Season 1 has already been successfully conducted. Season 2 is coming up this month on 24th. It will be an online international quiz. So those who have not joined, please join. It is purely for educators based on NEP, child psychology and development, teaching aptitude and all. So please take care. I will be posting, take care of it. I will be posting it once again in the chat box. Those who have not joined the group and not registered can make use of it. And all the very best to everybody. Thank you so much. And over to Asha. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Salam, sir, for the kind introduction and for setting the tone for the today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, we also privileged to have with us Mr. Biju Pillai, the co-founder of BTEC. With vast experience in the education sector, including his role as a principal of several renowned CBSE schools, Mr. Pillai has made significant contributions to the field. Sir, it is a true honor to have you with us today. I now invite you to address the gathering and share your valuable insights. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening to all. Wonderful evening. Of course, today's topic as neuroscience in the classroom makes it easier to identify students with learning disabilities and to provide interventions that can significantly help the students with their academics. So that is the main topic we are discussing today. And as a true educator or a teacher, it is the duty of the teacher to understand the capability of each and every child in her or his classroom. So that will emphasizing the importance of students' engagement, their emotional well-being, and creating positive support for the learning aptitude. So let us hear to our about foundings and her tips, which will 100% help all the educators to overcome all these problems while they are handling the class and make sure that every child in his or her classroom is getting benefited out of it. And let us make today's evening more important with our today's resource person. Back to the moderator. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Dear educators, let's move on to today's highlight. Resource person for today's session is Ms. Amira Ansari. 12 years of dynamic experience in teaching over polytechnic and engineering colleges. She holds a master in computer science engineering and also a certified QCI NABET assessor. Currently serving as a head of computer science and PGT at SVKM CBSE School, Dhule, Maharashtra. Her dedication extends to fostering innovation as evidenced by her involvement in patent applications for student-led projects like microbit coding, one of which was selected for National CBSE Skill Expo. Ma'am, it's a truly privilege to have you with us as a speaker for today's session. On the behalf of everyone, I extend a warm and sincere welcome to you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Today, we are diving into an exciting and transformative area of educational research that is harnessing neuroscience to create smarter classrooms. We all know that neuroscience has made groundbreaking advances in understanding how the brain learns, retains, and applies knowledge. By tapping into these insights, we can enhance our teaching methods, tailor our approaches to individual students' needs, and ultimately foster more engaging and effective learning environments. Through this session, we'll explore how brain-based research can translate into practical strategies that we can apply in the classroom, from understanding memory and attention to managing stress and emotional learning. I'm sure you will leave with actionable tools that align with how our brains naturally work. So let us unlock the potential of neuroscience to empower both teachers and students in today's dynamic learning landscape. So, harnessing neuroscience for smarter classrooms. So, as educators, the most concerning part for us after conducting the session is the learning paradox. You know, we all complain that we have covered the topic today, but the students forget it tomorrow. So, whatever material we are taught, they just cannot remember when it comes to writing in the test. Even they might be passing the test, but after that, even they feel that we have not seen the material and they forget, isn't it? So, like students face the challenge of retention. Whatever we are teaching in the classroom, they are able to understand, but after 1 or 2 days, they will forget. So, they face the challenge of retention. So, it can be like short-term recall. In that, students might struggle to remember the material during the test in spite of covering all the content. Then it can be long-term retention, like even after passing the test, even though we are conducting the class test, students are forgetting the material, whatever they have learned for the, say, half-yearly examinations or final examinations. So we all educators are in a dilemma. As teachers, we face the challenge of ensuring the lasting knowledge retention in the students. Like covered today, forgotten tomorrow. Students struggle to remember the material during tests despite of covering all the content. And even after passing the class test, students forget the material, whatever they have learned. So, like I would like to ask to each one of you out here, do you all face such issues in your classrooms? If yes, how do you overcome with this issue? You all can raise your hands to answer, or you all can reply in the chat box.
Yeah, most of them said yes. Yeah.
Yeah, if it is yes, then how do you overcome with such issues? Any one of you could share? Uh, Miss
Someone has answered constant recap.
Yeah, Miss Uma Maheshwari has said constant recaps. Miss Mita has told active learning. Okay. Anyone else? How can we overcome such issues of knowledge retention with our students in our classrooms?
Miss Sultana Begum wants to speak.
Miss Sakshi has told remedial classes and activity based. Miss Sandhya has told learning by doing, repetition and revision. Miss Gayatri. So we are getting so many answers out here. Miss Smita has told that repeating the knowledge. Okay. Miss Kirthana has told separate regular learning and recaps. A very good answer by Miss Veena using the mnemonics. Again, repeating the
So
content.
many have raised their hands, ma'am.
Many have raised.
Sultana, you can speak.
Hello. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Before going to start the class, first, Machin, should we recall the subject? Which student we are weak in the class? Just to ask the questions daily, right? Repeated that things. That means repeated, recall the class before going to start.
Okay.
Recall them.
Yes, surely. We should recall the concepts, whatever we have taught. Very well said, ma'am. I think Miss Vinita has also raised hand. Yes, ma'am. Vinita, ma'am.
Vinita Srivastava and Meenakshi Kumar. Miss Vinita, you can speak.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Sir, I am music teacher and this is very challenging for me कि मैं छोटे छोटे बच्चों LKG UKG वाले बच्चों को भी मैं सॉन्ग लर्न कराती हूँ और वो भूलते नहीं है। मैं किस तरह से लर्न कराती हूँ कि मैं सबसे पहले तो उनको लर्न कराना ही बहुत बड़ी बात है, बहुत बड़ा टास्क होता है कि उनको सॉन्ग्स लर्न कराओ पूरी। तो पहले मैं 1 लाइन बताती हूँ उनको। LKG और UKG के बच्चों की बात कर रही हूँ मैं। 1 लाइन सिखाने के बाद मैं उनको बार बार बोलती हूँ, बेटा अब 5 टाइम्स आप बोलेंगे। फिर मैं ऐसे 1 2 ऐसे करती रहती हूँ, उनको वो 5 टाइम्स बड़े मजे से बोलते हैं। जब 1 लाइन लर्न हो जाता है फिर मैं उनको दूसरी लाइन लर्न करवाती हूँ। और फिर सेकेंड डे जब मैं क्लास में जाती हूँ वो मुझको सुना देते हैं पूरा, भूलते ही नहीं है। और इसी तरह से मैं बड़े बच्चों को भी, क्योंकि म्यूजिक तो सबके लिए एक जैसा ही है, चाहे मैं 10th क्लास में जाऊं उनके लिए भी सारे गामा सिखाना उनको पहले से, अगर नहीं आता है तो सिखाना पड़ता है। उसी तरह से अलंकार सिखाने पड़ते हैं, सारे ग ग रे ग म ग म प प म प ध ध प ध नि नि ध नि सा सा। तो मेरे लिए 10th क्लास 9th क्लास 8th क्लास सब बच्चे इसी तरह से सीख जाते हैं और बिल्कुल भूलते नहीं है दूसरे दिन। बड़ा से बड़ा सॉन्ग, क्लासिकल सॉन्ग भी मैं UKG के बच्चों को सिखा देती हूँ।
Wow.
Thank you, sir.
That's really great, ma'am. Anyone else would like to share? How do you overcome such kind of issues from your classroom?
Yeah, Vinita ma'am had raised hand.
हाँ, yes, good evening to everyone. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Devi.
हेलो मैम, मेरी आवाज आ रही क्या आप तक?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah.
ओके, आई वांटेड टू से शेयर माय व्यूज कि जब मुझे क्लास में पढ़ाना होता है तो जो वीक बच्चे होते हैं जिनको रेमेडियल क्लास की जरूरत होती है, ऐसे में उन्हें चित्र के माध्यम से भी समझाया जा सकता है। तो सम टाइम आई ड्रॉ सम पिक्चर्स ऑन बोर्ड। तो उस पिक्चर को देख करके अगर उसके माध्यम से मैं अगर उनको पैराग्राफ लर्न कराऊं तो उनके लिए इजी टास्क होता है। उनको अगर लेटर राइटिंग याद कराऊं कि हाउ टू राइट द लेटर और कैसे हम लिखते हैं, कैसे याद करते हैं, तो उनको सारे फॉर्मेट इजिली लर्न हो जाते हैं। और उनको थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा अटेंशन देने की जरूरत होती है। ऐसे बच्चों को सीखते वो भी हैं, लेकिन उनकी थोड़ी सीखने की क्षमता कम होती है, इसलिए हमें उनके पास जाकर उन्हें एक्स्ट्रा केयर की जरूरत होती है। तो हमारे बच्चे तो अच्छे से सीख जाते हैं। और मुझे भी पता होता है, हर कोई जब टीच करता है उसे पता होता है कौन सा बच्चा किस तरीके का होता है। तो अगर हम उसके लिए अलग से वर्कशीट प्रिपेयर करें, अलग से क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करें, तो वो इजिली आंसर दे सकता है। ना कि अगर जैसे बड़े बच्चों का है जो हाँ ज्यादा टैलेंटेड है, या फिर उसी तरह से आजकल हमारे इसमें भी तो हॉट्स आते हैं ना कि हाई ऑर्डर थिंकिंग और इस तरीके से लोअर ऑर्डर थिंकिंग। तो इसी हिसाब से मैं वर्कशीट भी प्रिपेयर करती हूँ, पेपर भी प्रिपेयर करती हूँ, तो मेरे बच्चे तो इजिली सॉल्व कर लेते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।
Very well said, ma'am. Very well said. Even we are getting few answers in our chat box. Jitendra sir has told that supervision and supervision class and remedial classes. Then Sheila ma'am has answered worksheets and class test. Miss Anis Fatima has told continuous evaluation. Then Miss Mita has told hands-on activities. So we are getting so many answers out here. Uh, why do students often struggle with classroom concepts but remember the movies and songs with ease? Don't you think that एक बार बच्चे मूवी देख कर आते हैं, उनको उसके डायलॉग्स लर्न हो जाते हैं, सॉन्ग्स लर्न हो जाते हैं विदाउट सो मच ऑफ एफर्ट्स, और कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट्स हम क्लास में पढ़ाते रहते हैं, बार बार हम रिपीट करते हैं, फिर भी बच्चे एग्जाम में रिकॉल नहीं कर पाते. आई थिंक एज एजुकेटर्स वी ऑल have this very fine problem with us, isn't it? How many of you agree with me? Miss Rashmi has told because students are attracted by music, visuals, and attraction. Yeah, right. Mr. Gopinath has told minimizing the content. Minimize the content for them. Yes. स्वर्णलता मैम हैज टोल्ड गीत द्वारा भी हम उनको कॉन्सेप्ट समझा सकते हैं. वेरी वेल सेड मैम. या so see, as educators we all can think about it like students can recall movie scenes and dialogue very effortlessly. They don't take effort to recall them, but when it comes to examination, whatever we have taught, why do they take so much of efforts? Don't you think that somewhere as educators we have to play some role over here? Isn't it? As educators we have to play some role over here, because we are teaching, they are answering at that time, they are remembering, but after that why are they forgetting? Because we are not creating that much of impact to them. So why are some forms of learning more engaging and memorable than others, right? So as educators, we need to make our learning more engaging and memorable for the students. So as educators, it is essential to make learning memorable and engaging. So what we can do is we can make it more captivating. We can make the learning experience feel magical for them. Even when it is related to memory, what we can do is we can tap into the brain's natural memory making process. You know, there are two ways of memory making. एक जो हम क्लास में क्या करते हैं, भाई पढ़ो, 5 times रीड करो, रोट लर्निंग करो, टेबल्स लर्न करने हैं, 10 times यू शुड राइट, 10 times यू शुड रिसाइट. सो ये हम क्या करते हैं, दिस इज आर्टिफिशियली वी आर ट्राइंग टू मेक द मेमोरी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट. बट यू नो द नेचुरल मेमोरी मेकिंग प्रोसेस है, जैसे मूवीज और सॉन्ग्स बच्चे नेचुरली एक बार में लर्न कर लेते हैं, राइट? सो एज एडुकेटर्स व्हाट वी हैव टू डू इज, हमें क्या करना है, हमारे क्लासेस इतने एंगेजिंग बनाने हैं कि बच्चे नेचुरली चीजें लर्न करें. तो वो हम कैसे कर सकते हैं, हाउ वी कैन डू इट? सो व्हाइल लर्निंग इज लाइक अ मूवी, the first thing is uninspired learning. So as educators, where we are lacking is there is no inspiration whenever we are teaching. So students are like very uninspired to learn. So classroom learning often struggles to capture the same level of attention as a compelling movie. Even some captivating movie scenes have a lasting impressions on our mind. So even our lessons should be framed in that way that it should have some captivating impression for our students. Even what we can do is we can make learning memorable for the students. We need to create engaging experiences. Then only students will be interested and it will create a long lasting impact for the students. Now, the very question I would like to ask you out here is, how does the brain learn? So as educators, if we know how does the brain learn, I think it will be very useful for us to not only teach the student, but also to ensure that the students remember whatever we are teaching. Let us see a small video.
Science behind learning. Learning is due to the creation of new and mostly more efficient connections between
Is the
brains.
video audible?
But how does this work exactly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, it is.
To understand how learning occurs in the brain, we need to start with the basics. Our brain consists of billions of neurons. These neurons have dendrites, which receive information, and an axon, which sends information. Neurons communicate with each other via electrical and chemical signals. Transmission within a neuron is electrical, and this is called an action potential.
Transmission between neurons is chemical and occurs with tiny gaps called synapses. Once an action potential reaches the presynaptic neuron, neurotransmitters are released in the synapse and received by the postsynaptic neuron. When we are learning something, neurons in different parts of the brain communicate with each other. If two neurons frequently interact, they form a connection that allows them to transmit messages more easily and accurately. We will further explain this with a learning example and an analogy.
Let's say you would like to learn to play the piano. When playing the piano, different brain areas are involved, such as motor, auditory, and visual cortex. Before you start to learn how to play the piano, pathways between these brain areas are still very weak. Playing the piano doesn't sound really nice.
At this stage, you can compare your brain to a forest without any tricks. When you start practicing the piano, it feels very difficult, just like walking through a forest without a trail is difficult, because you have to push the vegetation out of the way to walk through.
However, the more you practice the piano, the stronger the connections between the involved neurons and brain areas get, which leads faster and more efficiency.
Miss Amira, volume is very less. If you can narrate or you can retell, it will be good.
Yes, yes. So what we have seen in the video is what we saw in the video is how does the brain learn. They had given an example of a student learning how to play a piano. So initially the student will not find it interesting. Why? Because this is something new that the student is learning. But gradually as the student will start practicing 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, what happened? The neurons in a brain, they make a more deeper connection with each other. Like learning a piano involves auditory, visual, as well as some skills. It is related to skill also. So what happens is these neurons interact with each other, and the more we practice, the communication becomes very much stronger and a lasting impact is created in our brain. So this is the way how the brain learns. So practicing and creating many more neurons that will communicate with each other. So we have 3 stages of learning. The first stage is encoding, the second stage is storage, and the third stage is retrieval. So whenever we take some information through our senses, it activates some unique pattern in our brain. That is our neuron network. So with the help of this code, whatever information is stored in our brain, it can be retrieved in the future. That is called as encoding. What happens in second step is storage. Whatever information is there, it will connect with some existing network or some prior knowledge and abilities. So this makes it more strong. As for example, whenever we enter the class or we start with some concept, first we check the previous knowledge of the students, isn't it? Why we check the previous knowledge of the students? So that the new knowledge can be linked with the previous knowledge, so that the knowledge will become more strong. Why? Because it is getting linked with something that is already stored in our brain. Okay, so this is what happens when we store some new information. It is linked with some previously existing information. Then retrieval is how, after storing some information in the brain, how we can retrieve it. So what happens is our brain filters most of the incoming information. It allows only what seems more important to pass through it. So the concept of importance will differ from one person to another. Okay, a concept of addition can be important to me, but it is not necessary that it will be important to 100 other students to whom I am teaching. So that is called as the retrieval, and brain filters the incoming information. So what happens is the stronger signals are sent if something is very important, and the second aspect is emotional significant, isn't it? If the whatever concept we are teaching, if it is related to our emotion, again it will be having some stronger signals, and the students can retrieve it. So don't you think that to sell and promote the products, the advertisement use the concept of emotional, they create some emotional aspect so that we remember the product, isn't it? They create a impact in our brain. That's why each product has some emotional aspect related to it, because our brain will definitely associate with the emotional aspect and remember the product. So same thing, if we are teaching some concept, we can associate that concept with some emotional story or some emotional aspect, so that it will be remembered by the students. Then certain factors that can amplify the learning signals are attention, meaning, and multiple modalities. Then what is attention? Focused concentration on some specific information. So what will happen with it is the neural signals will become more strong. Then meaning, connecting new information to the existing information. That is called as meaning. Then multiple modalities. If we are teaching some concept, we can teach that concept in various ways. Like for example, first time if I'm teaching, it can be verbally. Second time if I'm teaching, it can be through some diagrams, through some videos, through some drawings, through some map. So we can use the multiple modalities so that the information can be stored by creating more stronger neural network. Now let us see the power of attention in learning. What happens is selective focus. So our brain will constantly filter the information that is very important. So whatever we feel important is stored in our brain. Then what teacher can do is teacher can guide. We can clearly guide the students to have attention to some specific or crucial information while teaching. Then intrinsic interest, again we should make the content more engaging so that the students will naturally have interest in whatever concept we are teaching. Again, misaligned signals. Sometimes what happens is students will be focused on the rhyme scheme of a poem when the teacher tends to tell that they have to focus on the meaning or vice versa. So if we are telling the student to focus on the meaning, their attention might be on the rhyme scheme. So that is called as misaligned signals. Again, what can happen is mindful signaling. So what we should do is we should be mindful which signal we are trying to ramp up. That is important for the students. Okay. Again, boosting the signal, what we can do is this is important and rhyming patterns will be on the test. If we give repeated instructions, then we can boost the signals and automatically the students will feel that the rhyme patterns are important and I need to focus and I need to pay attention to that. Then the second part was meaning. So prior knowledge, whenever we are teaching some concept, we are linking it to the previous knowledge or the prior knowledge that the student already has. But if the student is not having any connection to it, then the new information will be like an island. Like it will not have any association or any connection and it can't stick for longer period of time in the brain. Then again, relevance. Students should understand why something is very important. For that, we need to motivate and retain the attention of the students. Then teachers can make the subject matter relevant so that the students will be motivated to learn it. Then context. We should provide real world context to the students so that they know the value of whatever they are learning. Then we have multiple modalities. You know, we all know that students have different learning style. So some students can be either visual, verbal. That is like when we are talking about neuroscience, to much extent, neuroscience says that this is incorrect. And what evidence shows that engaging multiple modalities can lead to stronger learning. So if learning only uses auditory signal, the brain will activate only auditory parts. But if the learning includes only visual signal, brain will activate only the visual parts. But if we are using multiple modalities, then what will happen? Different parts of the brain will start working on the same concept. And what will happen? More pathways will be created to retrieve the information later. For example, if I am teaching addition and I am teaching it verbally, then only verbal signals will be activated in the brain. But if I am teaching addition with the help of using some popsicles or some objects, then again it will create some more stronger network in the brain. If I show some video related to addition, again it will create a more stronger connection in the brain and it will be very easy to retrieve it. Now some key consideration for teachers and students. Practice makes permanent. Like reactivating the neural network. If you are practicing something repeatedly, it will reactivate the neural network and whatever is the original learning.
Good evening, sir. Today anyone came for taking it?
It will strengthen
Okay.
those
Okay,
connections.
sir. Thank you.
Again, repetition strengthens the connection. What happens is repetition is a key factor in making learning permanent. Again, that is analogous to practice makes perfect. Again, varying the practice conditions. It is very important that repetition should vary the conditions of the rehearsal of information within some range. Again, expanding the range. For example, kids who practice basketball free throws from a distance of 6 feet and high feet, and 8 feet can perform better than the kids who practice only at 7 feet. So whenever we are giving some practice worksheets to the student, we should give different types of range or different levels of difficulties in the worksheet. Again, as we've already covered, repetition does not always means rote learning. It does not mean that, okay, if we are learning tables, repeat it 10 times, repeat it 5 times. For example, practicing to tie our shoes. It does not require same kind of repetition, right? As remembering the events in the Civil War. So each concept will have a different way of learning. Again, we have two types of memory. We have procedural memory and we have declarative memory. So when we talk about procedural memory, what happens is concepts like typing, playing the piano, tying our shoelace, riding a bike, all these things are stored in the procedural memory. Why? Because there is a procedure to do all these things. And when we're talking about declarative memory, it includes the task like remembering the events of Civil War or explaining the steps of some scientific method or explaining the steps of some science experiment. So how we can build the procedural memory? More of a rote practice. If we want to teach the students piano, then it will need a rote practice. If we want to teach students riding a bike, it will again need a rote practice. But if we want to build a declarative memory, what students should do is they will need some elaborative practice methods like journaling, role plays, experiments. So if they are performing the experiment practically, they can automatically remember the steps of the science experiment, isn't it? Again, sleep, exercise, and time are also critical for the information to be stored in the brain. Why? What happens is actually the brain will consolidate the memory when we are sleeping. And what we think is the brain is just taking a vacation when we are sleeping, but it's not like that. The brain is focusing on memory retention. So if we explain this to our students, then the students will definitely not stay awake the whole night to prepare for the exam, but they will take a good sleep. Again, the next one is less is more. So if we are teaching some new concept to the students, we should avoid cognitive overload for effective learning. Too much of information we should avoid in one session. If the students are learning something new, we should avoid presenting too much of information at one time. Again, when we talk about retrieval, so we should remember that you can't truly be said to have learned something. So if you have learned something, you should be able to write it in your examination. This is what we expect from the students. So what happens is we learn many things for a moment, the test, the performance, and the science fair, but after that we always forget. Isn't it? Have you ever heard a student is running into the class on the day of test and saying, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. I just want to take the test. And after that, I will talk. Otherwise, I'll forget whatever I have learned. And it is fresh in my mind. Most of the students do this, right? So, but the thing is, fresh in one's mind and deeply learn are entirely two different things. So if the student, it is fresh in the mind, definitely they are going to forget many of the concept after the examination. But if they have deeply learned, we can take the test at any time. The students will will definitely remember the concepts. Now let us see some tips for easier retrieval. As educators, some tips, what tips we can use to help the students to retrieve the information. Effortful retrieval. So when the students retrieve information with effort, it will strengthen the neural connections and it will make that information easy to recall in the future. So if the students are taking effort to remember something, it will automatically strengthen the neural connection. Again, we have already seen that practice makes perfect. Again and again practicing. We should focus on the gaps. We should test the students on what they know and what they don't know, and we should revisit those topics. Again, we should embrace the retrieval practice. We can use weekly quizzes as or a verbal recalling of information. By various methods, we should make the students recall the concepts. Again, when we say that we should make the recall practice harder, things that you have learned. We should pose these questions to the student at the start of the session. So constantly the students will focus on learning and telling that whatever I need to remember the 3 most important concepts. Now let us see one retrieval challenge for all the educators out here. A small memory game over here. 12 objects have been displayed on the screen and you need to remember and retrieve this. Everyone are ready for the challenge? Okay. Now can you enlist the names of the things that you remember from the picture? Anyone out here? Anyone could raise the hand and answer what
They're
images you
yeah, they're answering in the chat.
No, the thing is, out of 12, how many you remember? Out of 12, how many you can remember? Okay, we are getting so many answers. Anyone who can remember all the 12 items that were displayed? I think Priyadarshini ma'am has answered.
Priyadarshini ma'am.
Yeah, most of the most of the things.
7.
Yeah. So even when we are teaching the concept to the students, it is very difficult to retrieve it, isn't it, from the student? So a very simple technique over here.
Even Srividya ma'am has.
Yeah, a very simple technique over here is link to learn. So what we can do is the power of association in memory. Now simply what I have done is I have associated each image with a number. So now we can easily associate the images with the number and our brain will easily retrieve it. For example, 6 was waste paper bin, 3 was paintbrush, 9 was bell, 4 is chair. It will be quite easy to retrieve it. So anyone can enlist the names of the things by associating it with numbers. Yeah, I think Gayatri ma'am has answered most of the she has enlisted most of the items that were displayed. So isn't it quite easy if we associate the items with numbers? So what the memory does is it will quickly associate. Okay, 1 was a pen, 5 was whiteboard, say 3 was paintbrush. It becomes very easy to remember the things. Again, what we can do, Balakumar sir has also answered like first, second, and third one. So students will easily remember it. Again, what one more practice we can do is we can practice interleaving. For example, interleaving a map analogy. If we have a big book of map, then between each page there is a sheet of tracing paper. So what the students can trace the map. Again, instead of focusing on one topic at a time, we can mix the things up related to different informations like math, science, or different chapters of a book. Again, power of interleaving, it can encourage more flexible thinking and it can activate the information in different ways. And it will definitely make stronger connections in our brain. Now, how do you approach knowledge retention strategies in your classroom? Anyone would like to share any knowledge retention strategies that you use in your classroom? Anyone could raise hand and answer this question? Knowledge retention strategies that you use in the classroom. Gayatri ma'am has posted one question, how to avoid students going for last minute preparation for exam. Ma'am, we are definitely going to cover this in the coming up slides. Anyone would like to take up this question? How do you approach knowledge retention strategies in your classroom as an educator?
I would like to share my view. So what I do is I make groups of students.
Okay.
And then I make a leader in that, probably 5. I give them a topic and ask them, okay, this is a topic that you've learned. You make a group. Next class when you come, I have weekly 1 session with each of the class. So when you come next week, you are the leader. You should ensure that all the group members know what we have studied. At least 1 line. Every topic, 1 sentence. So that way they do, because they're bigger children. Like I teach from 6 to 10. So for them, it is like a challenge and they do it well. So that is my experience of doing retrieval.
Yeah, very good. And if we are posting, if we are giving it as a challenge, then definitely the students will feel very
Yeah.
excited to do it.
Yeah.
So we
So
are
I give a name to the group as well, like Avengers, something very catchy, so that they know कि they have to do that. Spartans, like that. So उनको थोड़ा सा जोश चढ़ता है, and then they tend to learn things unknowingly.
very nice strategy, ma'am. Even we are getting so many answers in the chat box, Saujanya ma'am has told giving more revisions. Priyadarshini ma'am has told connecting to the real world and active learning and assessment. Gayatri ma'am has told questioning technique every beginning of the class. Very interesting, ma'am. Rashmi ma'am has told connecting with real life experiences. Definitely this method helps in retention. Yeah, keywords. Nirmala ma'am has told very well said, ma'am. Share and pair. This is also a very good strategy told by Smita ma'am. Uma Maheshwari ma'am has told post-it note to jot down the key point. Yeah, that is also a very good method. Gayatri ma'am has told guide them to prepare their own questions. Again, point system quiz in the classroom. This is also a very effective strategy. Smita ma'am has told quiz. Nalini ma'am has told repetition just by students. So many strategies we have so that we can help the students to retain the knowledge and concepts that ever we have taught. Again, Kumudini ma'am has told about the sketch note. That is also very effective. Pramila ma'am has told picture presentation and mind map. Very effective method, ma'am. Sheila ma'am has told repeat the multiplication tables like a song. Wow, that is quite interesting. Priyadarshini ma'am, audio visual involving students to give more opportunity. Yeah. So different modalities we are giving opportunity to different modalities. Then again, Smita ma'am, peer teaching, very good method, ma'am. Mnemonics, yeah, Shri Vidya ma'am has told. Sheila ma'am, again, mind mapping. So many answers we have got here. Now let us see the neuroscience of learning. Learning a mismatch. So framing learning. So what happens is the way we frame learning impacts how the students perceive their own potential and capabilities. What happens is students create stories about themselves, which can become limiting self-concept. So what stories students do is, I'm not good with maths. They assume that. Why they assume that? You know, basically everyone has the same capability and they can do, but the efforts, what matters is the efforts. So the students assume and they create some concepts that limits their ability. So they already assume I'm not good with numbers, so they stop taking efforts in numbers and they are not performing in numbers, isn't it? So that is a misinformation. That is not at all true. Now the next one is how you feel comes before how you learn. Okay, so feeling is very important. Why? Because learning is not robotic. We are not robots. Students are not robots. If our learners are feeling anxious and uncomfortable, stressed or ashamed, learning is not going to happen. So what happens is the limbic system holds sway and it will take primacy every time over the creation and reactivation of memory. So well-being comes first every time. And even when we can say that learn life is very different, which is not why it is not like it is just a class or a workshop. It is embedded in the fabric of the learning process. So the learn life is very different. If I simply enter the class and I tell, okay, class, open your books at page 10. Isn't it boring? Won't the students won't be motivated to pay attention to what I'm going to teach? So whenever we are going to engage the class, we are going to use some creative strategies. So any one of you would like to share some creative strategies to engage your students for your class? You can answer either in the chat box or you can raise the hand. Your creative strategies to engage the students. Yes, anyone would like to answer? I think we are getting answers in the chat box. Sandhya ma'am has told asking them to draw while explaining. Sheila ma'am has told peer tutoring or group activity. Gayatri ma'am, collaborative activities. Okay. Shri Vidya ma'am has told I will first share the speciality of that particular day. Okay, that is a very good idea. Smita ma'am, Saujanya ma'am has told showing visibles to them. Again, Smita ma'am has told storytelling. Nalini ma'am has told role play. Yeah, that is related to emotions and they will definitely remember the concept. Sultana ma'am has told activity through teaching. Very well said, ma'am. Gayatri ma'am has told group discussion and student teacher interaction. Again, we have got the answer as puzzles related with topic. Attention grabbers, again, real life experiences. Very well said, ma'am. So these are some creative strategies through which we can engage the students so that the class is not boring for them. Again, we are getting many more answers. Priya Darshini ma'am has told flipped classroom. Shri Vidya ma'am has told success stories of scientists, famous persons, poor person. A very good approach. Yeah, very well said, ma'am. Again, we can use different teaching aids. Sandhya ma'am has told songs. Very well said, ma'am. So now the brain is malleable and not fixed. It means that some of the same neurons and different networks. So we all have the same amount of neurons as anyone else. Then what is the difference? The difference, the thing that makes difference is the passion, because passion will fuel the growth. The key is what we choose. So passion and purpose will fuel the quest to light up the neural network and become the master. So if we are making the student passionate about some topic, definitely they will remember it. Again, choice and growth mindset. The growth mindset is a question of choice. So what we can do is we can help the students to find their ikigai and support them in building it. Again, what we can do is we can use self-confidence and agency. So always there is a difference between I can't do this sum, and always there is a difference between I can't and I could but I chose not to do. So that is self-confidence. Now let us see what is ikigai. It is a Japanese concept that translates to a reason for being or a purpose in life. So we can use ikigai for a purpose in topic, whatever topic we are going to teach in the class. So it is having four main questions out here, like what you love. So it can involve the activities or pursuits that bring joy and fulfillment. Then what you are good at. It is associated with skills and talents that we possess. Then what the world needs, areas where the passion and skill can meet the need of others. And what you can be paid for. So what opportunities do we have after learning some skill or some concept? So what we can do is we can help the students discover their ikigai and we can support them in finding some meaningful path in their personal and professional lives, and we can encourage a growth mindset. Now, for example, how we can apply ikigai to addition. So making math meaningful. How we can make math meaningful to the students. So what we can ask them is, what do you love or what is the inspiration? So addition is about bringing things together in a joyful way. So what we can do is we can include games and challenges that can make learning addition more like a play. Then the next one is the purpose. So what the world needs. So addition is useful for everyday tasks like budgeting and problem solving. So what we can do is we can frame it as a way to help others so that the students feel it more meaningful. Again, the next one is the prospect. So what we can do is if you are learning addition, what you can do and you can be paid for. So addition is crucial for many careers like engineering and finance. So what we can do is we can reward the students if they are going to master it, and we can motivate them to solve the sums. Then the next one is the mastery. So what you are good at. So what happens is addition will build up problem solving skills and confidence in the students. Again, we can recognize each student's progress, and in the concept, again, we can focus on peer teaching to reinforce the concept. So this is the ikigai. So what we can do is some concepts to make it more interesting, we can apply the ikigai technique to it. Anyone would like to share your experiences of encouraging students to find their ikigai? or how do you inspire and purpose to learn a specific topic in your class? Definitely, I think with higher class students, if we are teaching some math concepts, some geometry or some algebra, then students might be feeling that ये तो मुझे future में कहाँ पे use होगा, then why should I learn this? Why these tough topics are given in our syllabus? Anyone would like to share your experiences, how you have helped the students to face these challenges?
Meanwhile, Miss Asha, there are a few questions in the chat box. You can note down. We will answer at the end.
Okay, sure.
Yes, anyone would like to share their experiences, how you encourage the students? Smita ma'am has told we can give one word and what comes to their mind, the students can come and write on the board. Yeah, that is again a very good way to create inspiration and purpose for the students to develop the vocabulary. Anyone else? Okay. Now it's time to reflect on some case studies. A first case study is related to memory retention issue. So Ben is a 12-year-old student, could understand the concepts when they were first taught, but had difficulty in learning them, difficulty in recalling them. So what is the neuroscience insight with this case study is research shows that memory consolidation is influenced by factors like sleep, stress, and repetition. So as teachers, what we can do is we can implement spaced repetition and retrieval practice. Because this is a proven technique from neuroscience, it will automatically help to strengthen the long-term retention by encouraging repeated retrieval of information. So repeatedly, if Ben is facing such problem, we can repeatedly tell Ben to, we can repeatedly retrieve the concept from Ben so that he will remember it. Then let us see the next case study that is related to math anxiety. So Mia, an 11-year-old, became visibly anxious during math lesson, often feeling paralyzed when solving the problem. So that is a phobia of math. While solving the problem, the student is getting very anxious. So what neuroscience says is, neuroscientists have identified that math anxiety activates amygdala, that is related to fear response. So what happens is this decreases the activity in the brain region that is responsible for working memory. So what can happen is some students already feel that I'm not good in maths. And when they look at the problem, they often feel very anxious and they get paralyzed. So what happens is the brain that is responsible to solve the problem becomes less active. So what is the solution for us? What we can do is relaxation techniques and a positive low stake approach to math. What teacher can do is mindfulness minute. So before math session, we can use positive reinforcement, gradually decreasing the fear response and improving the performance in math. That is one solution that we can use. Then the next one is related to organization and planning. Alex, a 13-year-old student, is struggling with organizing the task, time management, and setting the goal. He often misses the assignment or doing them haphazardly. So this is the case study of Alex. So what neuroscientists say is executive function skills are supported by brain's prefrontal cortex, which continues developing into early adulthood. So students with underdeveloped executive function may find planning and organization a bit challenging. So how we can overcome this issue? Cognitive exercises. As educators, we can help the students to do cognitive exercises that will focus on these skills, such as breaking the task into smaller steps, using some reminders, again practicing self-monitoring. These are some of the proven techniques. Again, we can do is we can provide some checklist and scaffolding tasks which can help the student to build some organizational skills. Again, the next case study is related to lack of motivation in learning. Again, Alex, a 12-year-old, consistently shows little enthusiasm for assignment and often needs significant prompting to start the task. He doesn't seem to enjoy any specific subject and expresses that the school is boring. So basically, Alex is not interested to study and he is feeling that the school is boring. Now let us see what the neuroscientists have to say about this is motivation can be linked to the brain's reward circulatory involving dopamine. So a lack of motivation may be related to insufficient activation of dopamine pathways, which are critical for feeling rewarded and stimulated by the task. So as educators, what intervention we need to take is goal setting and feedback. So what we can do as teachers is we can give small achievable goal to such students. Such goals will help to release the dopamine and the students will complete the task. So we can use positive reinforcement behavior, and we can also use a reward system like gamification. So this can increase the dopamine level. So we can tell Alex, if you're going to do the homework today, the math homework, then you can get a chance to play some game, or you can get a chance to go for PE session or something like that. So automatically he will be motivated or he will be compelled to do the activity. Again, neuroscience helps us to understand the complexity of teaching and learning. So the brain growth and change. Neuroscience helps us to understand the complexity of how brain grows. We have already covered this in the video. Then experience and not learning style. Research shows that learning is based on experience. That's why we as educators always focus on experiential learning. Again, brain plasticity. Our brains have plasticity. That is the ability to form new connections, be flexible, be modified by experience. This means our brain adapts to our experiences. So more of experiential learning is required. Again, neural network, daily events and classroom lessons create neural network, which consist of many interconnected neurons. How we can strengthen the neural network? By meaningful exploration and practice. Again, adaptation and specialization. In response to experiences, what the neurons do is they make many more new connections and they become specialized for functions like speaking an additional language. Students can also learn an additional foreign language. Again, time and practice. Learning takes time and practice is very important. Let us see some strategies that is backed up by neuroscience. The first one is active learning. We all know that exploring and discovery, active learning will promote the brain's natural inclination to explore, discover, and construct knowledge. So the multiple areas of brain get activated, and through activities like group discussion, problem solving, experiment, engagement, and it helps in knowledge retention. So that is active learning. Second method is multisensory teaching. So we all know visual aids, multisensory instruction leverages the brain's ability to process the information through different sensory channels, including the visual input. So we can have auditory, tactile elements, again, movement-based activities. So movement-based activities like role play, dance, physical game, again, tactile elements like hands-on activities or experiment. Then auditory cues by incorporating auditory cues like explanations and discussions. Then smaller portions and spacing. What we can do is smaller learning portions. So we can divide the concept into smaller portion, and chunk by chunk we can give it to the student. Then logical sequences and pattern, we can present the information logically to the student or in the form of some pattern so that students will learn and retrieve it easily. Again, spacing. Spacing refers to distributed learning session so that the memory will get time to absorb whatever things we have taught to the students. Again, regular reviews and assignments. So regularly, if we are going to give assignment, they will recall the concepts regularly and they can easily do it. Movement and breathing. Again, we can tell the student the importance of yoga and exercises, because this will definitely help the brain to retain the information and whatever concepts we are teaching. Then social and emotional learning, as we have already seen, it helps to identify the critical social emotional learning skills that are linked to academic and social performance. Then storytelling and emotions, we can use storytelling and we can use emotions to create a powerful impact on learning. So this is the brain's natural ability to remember the things with the help of storytelling and emotions. So what we can do is merging stories and real world examples, personal experiences. This will activate the emotional centers in the brain and long-term retention of information. 9 neuroplasticity exercises, we can supercharge the student productivity as teachers. Before that, you can you share an example or illustration that how merging stories in real life and personal experience can enhance learning? So we as educators often share some personal experiences and real world examples in our class, isn't it? And we all know that this process enhances the learning. Any one of you would like to share an example of it? You can raise your hand and share an example of how you have taught any concept by merging it with real world example or personal experience. Yes, anyone? Uh, Anyone could like to share that any concept that you have taught in the class by using some real world example or some personal experience or some story, and students definitely remember it. Yes, anyone?
In the chat, they're mentioning as
Climate about weather. Uh, Smita ma'am, climate about weather, how have you associated this with some personal experience or real world example? Shri Vidya ma'am has told I want to talk. Yes, ma'am. Shri Vidya ma'am. Sultana ma'am has told food sources topic. Yeah, we can start the food sources with roti, dal, rice, and milk. Uh, Before that,
she's saying I couldn't unmute.
Tini ma'am has told neutralization reaction for acidity. Okay. Uma Maheshwari ma'am, lion and the hare, dog and the bone, story reflection. Okay. Shri Vidya ma'am couldn't unmute. If we can unmute Shri Vidya ma'am, she wants to speak. Gayatri ma'am has told garbage treatment to bring awareness on waste management. Very good, ma'am. Sakshi ma'am has told it feels relatable and they see us as a part of their world and take us more seriously, and it stays longer with them. The example will stay longer than the concept, like talking about muscle memory and correlation with their chatting.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I used actually the cricket match for teaching them the parabola, the path, especially the speed, the graph, everywhere. I use the cricket match, how the ball structure is posing there. Usually, in between the cricket match, they will show the path of the bowler, the speed. The speed I'll teach them through that one, through that experience. And in my class, the door is making a noise, a little bit of noise. It's because of the friction over there. I taught them there, even though I am a maths teacher, I usually connect my subject with all the subject, all the other subject. There I taught them with the friction. If it is a oil is put over there, why we need to apply coconut oil over there to avoid the rusting. So the science is taught along with their real life experiences. Likewise, I taught them so much of real life experiences to connect the subject.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, definitely the students will remember this for lifetime if we are connecting this concept with real life example.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So yes, we really can rewire our brain for optimal performance. What happens is every time the brain processes some new information, neurons are fired and new pathways are formed, and the malleable brain alters its shape and structure. So what we have to do is we have to nourish the student's brain, the fuel for the mind. So what happens is the brain, it consumes a significant portion of our energy. So we should educate the students that they should have a proper diet, and we should encourage them about healthy diet. Again, we should create a healthy environment along with nutrition. A healthy environment is also very important for learning. Then we can also promote power naps for optimal learning. That will help, that is prioritize the sleep. Now the students are addicted to mobile phones, so late night they are just using the mobile phones, and due to lack of sleep also the learning is not happening. So we need to educate the students about that. Again, we can encourage the students to take 20-minute nap after they go home from school, to stimulate the growth of the mind. Again, we can create a rest friendly environment. We can advocate some short rest periods during the day, which can help the students to get recharged. Uh, Again, the third one is establish a close the day ritual for the students. So what we can do is, just like muscle building, neuroplasticity also thrives on break. We can take a break. We can encourage the students to develop a nightly ritual that involves reflecting on their day and expressing gratitude for small achievement. Even at the simple end of the day message like "I am proud of the progress I made in my studies today" can help the students to feel valued and motivated. Then we can also encourage the daily vocabulary expansion. What we can do is learning a new word every day. We can create this culture in our school. We can also cultivate the language skill. We can encourage the students to promote the daily practice. With the help of this, they can improve their communication skill. Again, we have fun with words to again expand the vocabulary. Again, create a word wall so that the students will remember whatever words we are learning every day. The next very important method is we should explore non-dominant hand activities. Non-dominant hand activities will always help to activate new pathways. For example, engaging the non-dominant hand can be, it will help to create new connectivity and strengthen the brain. For example, we can introduce fun activities like brushing the teeth or drawing with the non-dominant hand. Like if we use right hand to brush our teeth, we should do this activity with the left hand. Or if we are drawing with the right hand, we should draw with the left hand. So what happens is the brain becomes flexible with such type of activities, and it helps to improve the coordination.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. She wants you to repeat the first one, Gauri ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
First point she wants you to repeat.
Activate new pathways.
Yes.
Is it, ma'am?
Is that what you want, Gauri ma'am?
Exploring non-dominant hand activities, right?
Yeah, the first one, she said yes.
So what we can do is we can activate new pathways. How we can activate new pathways in our brain? We can engage the non-dominant hand in a powerful way to form new neural pathways in our brain. Okay. For example, we can introduce some fun activities. We can tell the students like, if you are right-handed and every day you brush your teeth with right hand, so you have to do this activity with your left hand. Again, what we can do is, if you are drawing with your right hand every day, now you have to draw with your left hand. So what happens is, such kind of activities will help the brain to become more flexible, and it will strengthen the brain, and it will enhance the coordination. So we can also encourage the students to perform these tasks while balancing on one leg. For example, okay, if you're drawing with the right hand or the left hand, you should draw, but you should balance on one leg. So this can be again more challenging and encouraging. So this will be make the challenge double, and also we can make it a class activity. Such type of exercises to strengthen the brain and the neural network.
Ma'am, she's saying the first one of these 5 to 6 points.
Okay. Okay. First one was nourish our students' brain. So fuel for the mind is, while small, the brain is very small, but it consumes much of portion of our energy. That is about 25% of whatever we are eating. So we should encourage our students to eat healthy food. Okay, also we should focus on key nutrients. We should highlight the importance of vitamin D and magnesium. Again, we should create a healthy environment by integrating nutrition into the learning space. The sixth point is introduce juggling for neuroplasticity. Again, this will enhance the cognitive flexibility. Juggling will challenge the brain again to coordinate and improve neuroplasticity. What we can do is we can keep juggling balls in the classroom for short breaks between the tasks. Again, the cognitive skills and the coordination of the students will improve by doing this. We can also incorporate juggling into our physical education, or we can also have it as a part of the teamwork. Again, chess is a very powerful tool for cognitive development. Anytime, anywhere learning. Even we have online chess games on the platform like chess.com, where the students can play online with their friends also. Even research shows that chess players have more gray matter in their brain, which is linked to decision making and problem solving. Again, we can implement mnemonic drill for enhanced learning. So, using mnemonic devices such as formulas, acronyms, or rhymes can significantly enhance the connectivity, and the students will remember whatever content we are teaching. We can also engage with fun drills, okay, to reinforce the concept, whatever we have taught to them. Again, teach memory techniques. Today, educators should introduce the student to various mnemonic strategies that will help in retention and recalling. Also, we can do it in a collaborative manner. A very general example of mnemonic drill is remembering the planets. My very educated mother just served us noodles. So if they remember this sentence, they can remember all the planets with the help of this mnemonic. Again, we can foster mindfulness practices for the students. We can promote group mindfulness, such as group meditation for some time. We can also use online resources for meditation or yoga. Again, we can cultivate calm and awareness related to calm environment, or we can also have a mindfulness routine in our class. Coming to the next part, that is the zone of proximal development. Let us see the neuroscience perspective for this. That is collaboration and support. Now, what is the zone of proximal development? It is a space where the learners can achieve more guidance and support with others. Okay. So, zone of proximal development means what the students can do on their own and what they have to achieve. That is, they have to learn something more with the help of the educator. So we have to bring the students in the zone of proximal development, what they already know to what they don't know. That is known to unknown. That is zone of proximal development. So we can, that is using of scaffolding. So neuroscience emphasizes the importance of scaffolding. The educator can provide simple support, or we can act as facilitator. We can provide the learner with the right amount of assistance so that they can move to their zone of proximal development. Again, understanding how the brain develops and learns is very effective when we utilize the zone of proximal development. So what we can do is, through interaction and guidance, we can promote the growth of neural network, and we can enhance the learning potential of the students. Last but not the least, we should, as educators, we should make learning as a blockbuster series. Every class should be an exciting episode. Whenever we watch serials, they leave something at the end, so that we are always thinking what will happen in the next episode. So same thing, that is the cliffhangers. We should always leave some question or a scenario for the students that will leave the students curious about the next lesson. And we should, the suspense will keep them engaged and encourage them to think. This will increase their thinking skills. Again, the story arc, each unit can follow a narrative structure with a clear beginning, middle, and end. If teaching history, the narrative could revolve around a historical figure or an event, leading students through challenges and discoveries. Again, character development, what we can do is we can introduce the concepts through characters, whether they are historical figures, fictional personas, or some we are going to teach the concept, some personified concept. This can make the material more relatable to the students. Again, we can have some interactive plot twist. We can incorporate activities where the students can influence the direction of the lesson, like making decision and affect the outcome of the problem or the challenge. Again, the reflection and recap. This can be framed as previously on to maintain the show like they are feel. Again, the seasonal theme, what we can do is we can structure the academic year into season with different theme, and each season can culminate in a project or a presentation which can serve as a grand finale of whatever the students have learned in that season. So this approach will tap into the natural curiosity and it can help the students retain the knowledge in a better way. So this is the end of the session. Any questions from any one of you? Any questions from anyone?
Yeah, there were questions. Miss Asha, you can shoot out.
Yeah. So the questions are, first one is how to improve slow learner students.
Yeah, how to improve the slow learners. See, as in the video we saw, practice makes perfect. Okay, we had seen in the slide as well as in the video, practice makes perfect. So if a student is slow, it means that the student needs some space. Okay, whatever a normal student, if we are teaching 10 concepts in one session, the slow learner will not be able to understand the 10 concepts in the same time. So we should give the student more time as well as more practice. So eventually practice will make the student perfect, and it definitely it will help to retain the knowledge.
Yeah, the second question is how to avoid students going for last minute preparation for the exams.
Last minute preparation for the exam. As I told you, the movie scenes and the song students learn naturally. So as educators, if we are focusing on natural learning instead of rote learning, definitely the students don't have to go for last minute anxiety of exams or something. It will be a natural learning process. Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, the next question is, 1 second, ma'am. How to help students to encode information more deeply? Any tips on that?
Yeah, how to encode information more deeply. The same thing, ma'am. If we are using the multiple modalities, like if we are using auditory learning, if we are using visual learning, if we are using experiential learning, then so many, the brain is learning in so many ways. Definitely the concept will be stuck into the brain for lifetime.
Yes, the last question is how to promote regular study habits on a day-to-day basis among students.
We had also seen such type of query in one case study, that the student is least motivated and says that I'm not interested in school. So as also, this problem is occurring in day-to-day life due to the addiction of mobile phones and internet. The students are losing interest in the study. So what we can do is we can, instead of making the student learn with the old method of using the textbook and all, okay, if you're using the internet, use it in a right manner. So some of the learning can be by using whatever devices they are already using. At least they will use the internet and mobile phone in some good manner. So they will also feel interested to study. And along with it, as we told that if the student is not motivated, definitely he is not going to do anything. So we need to motivate the students by using positive reinforcement and giving small goals to them. Small goal setting will definitely help such kind of students.
That's all in the chat, ma'am. Other than that, anybody has any other questions to ask, ma'am?
Yeah, they can raise their hands. We'll unmute them.
Okay, how to encourage the children to do home assignment?
Yeah, how? So same thing, ma'am. How are we going to encourage them? We can use positive reinforcement, or we already know that the traditional method is not going to motivate the students. So we can give the assignment in some modern method by using some modern techniques so that the student is motivated to do the assignments.
Also, overdose can be avoided. Too much, assignments or all subjects together should be avoided.
Any other questions from anyone?
No questions. Lots of very good comments for you for your session. Yeah. So let's wind up. I think Asha ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to Ms. Amira ma'am for her enlightening and insightful session, ma'am. Everybody liked it. You nailed it. I am confident that we are now equipped better for in our classrooms, making them more engaging and more fruitful. I'm sure our modern methods would enable students become more adaptable and better prepared for the challenges and opportunities of the future. Dear participants, please note that the link of the certificate and feedback form has already been shared in the chat. Kindly complete the form with all the necessary details. On behalf of Extra Mile Education and Training and BTAC, I, Asha Jaisagar, would like to express our sincere thanks to Amira ma'am for sharing her valuable insights and words of wisdom. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Dr. Abdul Salam sir for his unwavering support and for providing this wonderful opportunity. And last but not the least, a huge thank you to all the participants for your incredible enthusiasm. We sincerely hope we have earned the privilege of your time. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Amira. Amira ma'am, congratulations once again. As usual, you did a very good job.
Yes.
It was very informative, inciting, and engaging. As usual, it was engaging as well. Many, educators were given opportunities to participate. That is the highlight of the session, highlight of your session, I believe. So thank you so much once again for this wonderful topic. This topic is very much important as we have to understand how to give relaxation to brain, how to give exercise to brain, how to make the brain ready for receiving learning signals. So that is the first thing. When you enter the class, open the book, page this and all. Instead of that, we call it brainstorming, right? So that is the activity, brainstorming activity, so that students get into that particular concept. Otherwise it becomes very monotonous. So behavioral changes in brain, and I like those brain activities, like if you are practicing brushing with your right hand, sometimes you have to give use the left hand also, so that there will be flexibility for the brain. If you're drawing with the right hand, try practicing sometimes with the left hand also. So these are very good activities for the educators to give to the students, so that brain gets a kind of balance and relaxation and flexibility. So thank you so much for these wonderful tips and a beautiful presentation. Thank you, Asha ma'am, for the cooperation and help you have rendered, and thank you all the participants. Keep connected. We are giving the bits of knowledge we are sharing with you. Everybody is welcome to share their knowledge also with us. This platform is for everybody, for sharing and caring. We have been doing the same for many years. We have crossed 250 online sessions, and the platform is open to each and everyone. We are expecting new talent to come forward and share their knowledge of expertise with the teachers, so that we go hand in hand successfully. So thank you so much once again, all the participants. Good night. Thank you.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.